One of the things that I think you've recently been asked is about capital gains tax and how that works in terms of, your kind of your 18% and your 24%.
So it's interesting. Client in Thailand considering selling a property in the UK, and one of his key questions was about how do you figure out whether you're taxed at 18% or 24% in the context of the rest of your tax. And the interesting thing about it is that people, so starting from first principles, 37,700 is your basic rate band for income tax, and if you're in that basic rate band, to the extent you haven't used it up, you can have that bit of capital gains at 18%.
Yep.
And then above that, it goes up to 24%. The interesting thing is that on the face of it, you'd say, well, I don't have a tax liability, so presumably I have the full 37,700 to use, right?
Yeah.
But the two scenarios he was looking at, which were really interesting, was, they were interesting for us as tax people, I suppose. Okay, I've got rental income, but I also have a lot of mortgage interest.
Yeah.
And so from his perspective, he was like, I've got 16,000 of rental income, but because I've got enough mortgage interest that after my personal allowance, I can relieve all of my tax. Surely I can use 37,700 for my capital gains tax at 18%. But of course, because the mortgage interest relief is a tax credit, it's not a deductible expense.
Yeah.
The rules work to say, no, you had 16,000 of income.
Yeah.
You only had a £12,000 personal allowance.
Yeah.
So therefore, you've actually eaten into your 37,700, even though you're not paying any tax. And the same happens if you go down a disregarded income route. So the other thing he was looking at is he's got a private loan that pays him, 15,000 quid.
Yeah.
The problem with that, of course, is that because he's going down the disregarded income route, he doesn't have a personal allowance.
Yeah.
So it used up even more of his his 37,700.
Yeah.
Pushing more of his gain into the 24% rate. And it was one of those interesting ones where you can think on the face of it, I don't have a tax liability, therefore I must have all of my 37,700 at 18% for capital gains tax. But it's actually a bit more complicated than that.